pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Are you going to stay back and Walter in your seat?
Absolutely honored. You ready? Hand up, please, sir. If you'll just repeat after me, I appreciate it. I do solemnly swear that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and the government of the United States and of the state of Florida. That I am duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution of the state. And that I will well and faithfully perform the duties of Santa Rosa Island Authority Board Member, on which I am now about to enter. So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Now it's time for public forum. The first person we're going to call up is Miss Diane Crump.
Okay, good evening. My name is Diane Crumble, and I'm founder of Save Pensacola Beach. First, Ms. Schrock, I want to thank you for providing the completed portion of my public records request. I appreciate the effort and time the development staff has put into fulfilling that work. I would like to take a step back and remind the board that our goal has always been to work collaboratively with the SRIA to establish a clear policy regarding the piers moving forward. When those efforts were not met with engagement, it became necessary to request records on that matter. To date, every indication suggests that the SRIA administration does not intend to revisit the issue, despite the fact that these piers appear to be in direct violation of Ordinance 2018-29, which prohibits new private leaseholds on previously undeveloped areas of Santa Rosa Island, and despite their impact on public access to taxpayer-owned land. Ms. Schrock, I am hopeful that your direct communication signals an opportunity for a reset, one where we can move away from escalation and toward a constructive and amicable resolution. With respect to the records request, I would like to place the remaining portion on hold until there is a clear understanding of the associated costs. Specifically, I'm requesting a detailed breakdown of billing, including labor, materials, the scope of the records to be produced beyond email correspondence. I also want to address the inclusion of an outside agency assistant, specifically Saltmarsh. My understanding is that such costs cannot be passed on to a private citizen under state public record laws, and I believe this point requires clarification. I want to be clear that raising the issue of outside agency involvement is not intended to be confrontational. Public records access is a critical matter for the community, and it is important that the SRIA clearly communicates interpretation and application of the relevant statutes. I would also like to remind the board that these records requests were submitted only after the executive director declined to place the issue of the piers on the agenda. If that remains the case, I and others will continue to pursue the information necessary to understand the SRIA's position. At the same time, it is important that the question of whether the public can be charged for private agency involvement is resolved. In closing, it is my hope that additional time and resources will not need to be spent on records requests, and that a discussion of pier policy can instead be placed on an upcoming agenda. This request was never intended to assign blame, but rather to understand the legal and policy basis for the SRIA's actions, particularly in the absence of a formal legal explanation or opinion provided to the public. Don't worry, they're legal because they were paid for with private funds. It's not anything approaching sufficient legal opinion. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Karen Wade, public forum.
I'll go back in. Kevin Wick, 43 Southeast Providence. Thank you for your assistance on public records, Ms. Schrock. To the SRIA, this is important. Please don't be Doug Underhill. Doug Underhill must pay $130,000 in legal fees. This is from the PNJ on the 15th. Oh. Here's a quote from David Baer in this article. Doug Underhill refused to follow laws. He failed to report gifts, and he refused to turn over public records. He doesn't believe the law applies to him. But I'm glad that the courts have set him straight. Now he's also finally being held accountable for his many violations of the public records law. Oh. The cost for public records is one thing that Doug did rail upon quite often, demanding that public records be given to the public at minimal or zero cost. This is one thing that he actually said that I agreed with. I know that staff here compiles an amazing amount of information on what's going on, but the game that ends up getting played in Escambia County and many other counties across the nation, especially in Florida over public records laws and sunshine violations. It's ridiculous. I don't understand why, with the ability to create portals these days, that almost everything that gets done isn't available to the public via a portal. I don't understand how that isn't available. I don't understand how this isn't being videoed and available for the public to view. I really, really object to and do not understand how breakout committees can happen, public input can happen at those committees, and then not spoken about here. And is the public's statements from those committees brought forth? I have not heard that yet. You know, yeah, and really, sunshine,
Thank you so
public
much.
records.
Thank you so much,
do
Mr.
it.
Wade. I want to just mention that each speaker has 3 minutes. Next we have, Ms. Melissa.
Chairman Thornton, if you would stop my time, I don't want to approach without permission, or if somebody else wants, I have a handout I wanted to give the board. Thank you so much. During public forum, I want to address public speaking, both in general, in spirit, and also per state statute. And first I want to say, and please, this is said with all good humor, congrats, you guys are officially the least transparent board in Escambia County. But I do think that it's headed in a better direction. As Mr. Pete will well know, Kevin and I and others have spent some good time battling the Children's Trust into some transparency for years, right? You guys are currently operating at worse than Children's Trust, but we are sensing a degree of willingness and understanding that maybe things could be a little bit more public friendly. Maybe you guys could be a little bit more transparent. And I'm gonna address specifically the law of the public speaking. And as you guys have seen here, it's a very short statute. It's short and sweet because it's very simple. It's front and back, so I went ahead and made a copy of it. And there are only two portions that I'm going to address. One is on the consent agenda, which I noticed is not on the agenda tonight, well noted, and then the county attorney's report. And now, we of course don't know what obscure reason your attorney has offered that nobody has to be able to speak before her county attorney's report. I suspect, because these things don't get spelled out, and I don't know how they do stuff over in Gulf Breeze and could care less. I don't care what they do on Gulf Breeze. I'm interested in Escambia County. And I'm thinking that maybe she's gonna say that it's ministerial and that she's simply providing a ministerial function when she is parroting to you all her thoughts previously. That's the best I can make out. But if that is the argument, it's hooey. And in the next C where it says 28011, I mean, I don't know, you guys aren't a shade meeting, you're not a quasi-judicial board, so for the life of me, I cannot figure out what the legal excuse is for that. On the consent agenda, when I went back and reminded myself of public statute, I see how you guys think you're squeaking by. Because as you see, I've highlighted, there is a thing in the statute that says if there's been a previous meeting that you can, get away with not hearing public speaking, but here's the problem, y'all only have 3 people on those committees, not a full board. There's a lot of gray area in this, and it says reasonable time. I suppose 2 weeks is reasonable, but my question for you is why? Why would you want to operate this way? I've never seen a committee that does not allow speaking at a consent agenda. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, on the agenda we have, Margie.
That's
Purpose.
Margie.
Here,
Thank you, everyone, for allowing me to speak. My name is Margie Perkerson, and I am a proud member of Save Pensacola Beach. I am here to express my support for efforts to address the ongoing concerns surrounding what appears to be private piers on public lands on Pensacola Beach, ultimately privatizing portions of the north side of Santa Rosa Island. I stand firmly for the protection of our beaches and the preservation of public access for all. These coastal areas are a shared resource, and maintaining open access is essential to our community. I respectfully request that this matter be placed on the agenda for an upcoming meeting so that we can work together with the SRIA and other stakeholders to find a constructive path forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Lori Newman.
Good afternoon. My name is Lori Newman, and I'm a proud member of St. Pensacola Beach. I am here to express my support for addressing the ongoing concerns surrounding what appear to be private piers on public lands along the south side of Santa Rosa Island. These piers appear to be in direct violation of the August 2nd, 2018 ordinance. I would like to remind the board that at the January 22nd Island Authority meeting, while Judge Timothy, a former Island Authority board member, and a judge, mind you, voted against rescinding the Baby Beach Pier, she acknowledged the value of public input moving forward. To quote her, part of what you're saying is the board has been issuing pier permits in error since 2018. I think you've got this matter on our radar. Do we change going forward? Absolutely. Have you made valid points? Absolutely. She went on to say, I am 100% in favor of changing procedures going forward, but I do have a concern with what we've already done in reversing that decision after the fact. These statements clearly recognize both the validity of the concerns raised and the need for improved policy moving forward. With that in mind, I respectfully request that this matter be placed on the agenda for an upcoming meeting so that we can work collaboratively with the Santa Rosa Island Authority and other stakeholders to identify a constructive and forward-looking path. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neil Dalton.
Hi, Neil Dorfman, 1 West Galvez Court. I'm here not only as a resident, but I'm here as the president of the Balloon Point HOA representing 45 leaseholders. I've been here speaking to this group a few times over the last few years about the topic of animal enforcement. The first time I spoke here, I suggested that a solution to the enforcement problem would be to relocate the beach, the west dog park, to the original location. And that was rejected, and the board committed to us that they would enforce the policies in the dog park area. I came back when no enforcement was done, and I suggested another solution, which was to consolidate the east and west parks to the east side, so that enforcement would be much easier in a more isolated area of the beach. That was again rejected, and we were promised that enforcement, there would be a commitment to enforcement. Now, there have been several people in that role. My understanding is the county terminated one of the animal enforcement officers, who in many people's opinion was the most productive of that, because he was speaking up to his supervisor about a lack of equipment to do his job correctly. My understanding now is that SRIA approved the contract, but rescinded it, pulled it back so that the position now is open and there are no plans to fill that position. So I've come before this board multiple times, not only stating a problem, but also providing solutions. Those solutions have always been rejected, and all I've gotten is a verbal commitment to enforce the policies that you all have made. In my mind, well, the question I have for you, are you really committed to enforcing your regulations? Your actions are pretty convincing, because there seem to be no plans to hire. The board has once again failed in its commitment to enforce these regulations. So again, I'm asking you to consider some of the other solutions, or at least commit again to enforcing your regulations. So far, the commitment has been very disturbing. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question. You said we would not have a animal control person here on the beach?
It's my understanding.
I was not aware of that.
That is correct. We do not have an animal control officer. The beach had allocated up to $60,000 in our previous budget for the animal control officer. We're the only place, the only district that paid for an animal control officer. No other district, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pays for an animal control officer. They have animal control officers all over the county. We were paying for a dedicated animal control officer. There were some issues, as you stated, one gentleman was terminated by the county. The enforcement of animal control is a county role, not a island authority role. So the county is the ones that enforce animal control on the beach. Their number is listed on our website. If you have an issue with animal control, you contact the animal control number and they dispatch somebody just like they do to any other dog park or district in Escambia County.
Can I reply? Sure.
Go ahead.
What Mike says, I believe, is correct.
Yeah,
However,
1 minute.
yeah, however, This board committed to an animal control officer that was dedicated to the beach. Not a thing has changed other than there are more dogs and more visitors and more people on the beach. So the problem has gotten worse when the solution, there is no solution. If you truly expect anybody on the beach who sees dogs that are violating the policy to get on the phone and call the animal control at Escambia County, that's a ridiculous solution to a problem that the residents of this beach have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The next person is Steve.
Good evening, Steve Rucker, 86 Vista Drive. I'm going to follow up on the discussion on the piers and the private piers. I've got correspondence here. I've been corresponding with DEP for a while, but I've got correspondence here dated the 27th of March that was sent out, and I talked to a few board members, and they're not aware of this. However, DEP sent out letters on the 27th to 4 applicants with piers, and they're requiring Santa Rosa Island Authority. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but SRA is listed. It's going to have to be listed as a co-applicant on a permit. SRA is going to have to revise the owner's application, at least so that it abuts to the main high water line, or the SRA provides riparian easement in favor of the owner applicant for the riparian rights. These are all things that are going to have to come before the board. I didn't see this on the agenda tonight. This is all things that DEP let you folks know that was coming. They are going to require, they're changing their application process. They're going to address this upland issue. This is based on the correspondence that I got, that I'll share with you all after the meeting if you'd like. I haven't shared it with anybody else. It did go out to the 4 applicants, and the SRI can't be given away property, public property, so this will have to be addressed. It'll have to be addressed on this after the fact. These piers, the work already continued. Any future piers that come up in this area, DEP's actually stating they're watching the Sharp Point area. They've even asked me in the correspondence if I see anything occurring. And other people, if you see any work happening down there on any docks in that area, DEP wants to know about it. And that includes staff, anybody in the public. If you see work going on, you need to report it that it's going on. DEP is interested in this because the applications aren't complete with what's going on. And Island Authority, the board members are going to have to deal with this eventually, with these and with any repairs that come up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Next, we have Tom Jardine.
Okay, good afternoon, Tom Jardine. I've been living on the beach for 30 years. Happy to be here. I'm very pleased that we have.
Jardine, can you please state your address for the record? And that goes for all future speakers. Name and address. Thank you.
Excuse me, I asked this of the county attorney, and she told me that that is not a requirement.
It's not.
In fact, like, you guys make funding decisions, and you don't give your names and addresses before you speak, but somehow the citizen who doesn't make any funding decisions has to make the full disclosure. Is ridiculous. I've been living on Pensacola Beach. You guys know my address. I've been here longer than most of you guys have been. I don't mean to be curt, but that's the truth. All right, so my name is Tom Jardine. I've been living on the beach for years. I'm very pleased that we have a new board member. I like the last board member. She was a terrific lady, but we need a new perspective, that's for sure. A lot of people have been mentioning problems that we have on this beach, and they're all true. There's validity to whatever you're saying. We have a lot of problems on this beach, and we don't ever seem to address those problems. I could talk for the next 30 minutes about some of our problems. Transparency is one. I don't want to belabor it with the consent agenda. Suddenly we're allowed to speak on it, that's great. I'm very happy that we're allowed to speak on that consent agenda. For 5 years, we have not been able to speak on the consent agenda. Your staff member will tell you I've been declining on that for 5 years. Every time she asks the attorney, and the answer will always be no, you can't speak on consent agenda. I am here to announce today, everybody, now officially, starting today, we're all allowed to speak on that consent agenda. We've been horrible on transparency. I mentioned in past meetings, Larry Downs Jr., I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he speaks at the county commission meetings, and you can see him all over the world. He's on YouTube, he's recorded. Somehow the Santa Rosa Island Authority doesn't record our meetings visually, and until just recently, we didn't have a recording online. I was one of the citizens who compelled us to start making our recordings available online. So we have not been transparent. These folks are absolutely correct about that. We're getting a lot of tourists, and we think it's because we're taking credit for that. Everybody in this world is getting tourists. I passed out handouts. I don't know if you guys got them, but Gulf Shores has gotten record tourism. Orange Beach is getting record tourism. I can't believe it's already been 2.5 minutes. In Spain, the citizens are using squirt guns to try to sway tourists. So we're all getting tourism, but you guys aren't using that money. We're getting more record profit for our bed tax and so forth. We got to use that money to improve our quality of life on this beach. We're not doing it. I'm almost getting run over by electric bikes on the sidewalks. I'm getting run over by jet skis on the in the water. I'm getting run over by cars on Vita Luna. We're going downhill.
Next, we have Gregory Hodge.
Gregory Hodges, 105 Sabine Drive. If you drive by my house, you'll see a sign up for Steve Looper. I believe he's a great guy. I want to welcome Mr. Morocco to the board. I just want to say that my personal experience, with all due respect to the other speakers, is that the Santa Rosa Island Authority staff has been responsive and attentive. I think I bought my first lease out here in 2012, I believe it was. I bought 8 more or 5 more since then. And I've had a lot of questions, a lot to Melody, who's been here for quite a few years, and always got a prompt response, always. I've also corresponded with Robbie and Kara and Ms. Johnson, and the same thing. So, and I do want to add also with Ms. Bass, and I've gotten prompt responses. So just speaking from my own personal experience, I've been very satisfied with the responses, both the quickness and also the material included in the response has been very meaningful and helpful. So thank you.
Next. Walter Allred. Walter.
Walter Arrington, 1825 Bainbridge, west side's the best side. Thank you, Mr. Thornton, for representing my district over there. I came here tonight, and I because I plan on going fishing on the pier right after this, and I just want to second what prompted me actually to come up here. I didn't plan on speaking, was the dogs. The dogs are an issue. I can't tell you how many times on the pier we go to backcast, and Tinkerbell, who's anyway, the dogs are an issue. I fish the shore both on the bay side and on the Gulf side pretty regularly. And while the National Seashore does a really good job of policing and making sure that people are in the appropriate area, it's something that they do leave a mess, and I know that this board will look into it, and I appreciate all that you do. Just as somebody who, aspirationally would love to live out here one day, I'm just a broke social worker, so, maybe I'll be able to afford a 100-foot condo one day, I don't know. But I love Pensacola Beach. I'm a native of Northwest Florida, grew up in Destin. There's a reason I live in Pensacola today. It's because of Pensacola Beach. Y'all have not ruined it the way that Destin has been ruined. And so again, I know that y'all got a lot before you. I just appreciate what y'all do and listening to constituents, but just please know that there's a bunch of people who fish and recreate out here and live in this area because of Pensacola Beach and because of the recreation. You know, and again, I always complain we don't have a huge, you know, fishing tournament out here, and I feel like our commercial fleet could be so much bigger, just because, you know, that's the only show in town, and I really think that Pensacola Beach, it's got a lot going for it. You know, great fishing pier. I mean, yellowfin tuna. Who else catches yellowfin tuna off of a public pier? We do in Pensacola Beach. We went viral worldwide for that. So don't forget about us fishermen. And you know, the docks, they affect the fishing. They affect my ability to go out there and navigate those waterways and pump ghost shrimp, which is a primo bait if you go any fishing out here. But anyway, thank y'all. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much. Next on the agenda, we have the approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting on 3/25, 26?
Is there a speaker form for Pam's speaker?
Do we have another speaker?
You wanna fill it out after the fact?
Yeah, it should be up there, that's.
I think she'd like to speak if you would like to.
Can have you fill the form out there?
I did fill out a form before I handed out the notices.
You need to fill it out.
Nasty.
She needs to fill it out. In the future, we want everyone to
Thank you.
fill the form out. State your name.
I'm Pam Spear, and I live at 717 Rio Vista. And I'm here with continuing concerns regarding the public areas behind 803, 805, 807 Rio Vista. And I will be referring to the handout that everyone has been given. I think everyone up there has one. And if you don't, please let me know. This handout includes photos of the area and cuttings, and it also includes copied minutes from Santa Rosa Island Authority meetings of what you said would be the policy, and unfortunately it is not being enforced. If you see the very first box, on August 27th, the board approved the delineation of the wetland area and continuing to mow upland. This decision was made after Tim Day, the Director of Environmental Services of Escambia County, came to the meeting. There was on and on and on discussion, and this is what you guys came up with after that meeting. If you look at the two boxes to the side, this is the first cutting. It was really no wider than a road. I didn't believe in any cutting, but it was a compromise. I thought everyone was happy, problem over, let's move onward. Obviously, other things need to be addressed. But unfortunately, in early October 2025, the area was cut. This time, the cutting was expanded. And you can see in the two boxes in the middle of the page, this is early October, and we had massive rainfall after that, and you can see the flooding. Large pools of water behind these houses. So when I saw this, I immediately called Kurt Foyle. Kurt Foyle is the Pensacola Beach Division Manager of Public Works. And I asked Mr. Foyle, why was this time the cutting different? He told me he had a meeting that morning with the Director of the Island Authority, Mike Burns, and was told to cut everything. I came to the Island Authority meeting on October 22nd and informed the board of this massive cutting and the flooding. I also sent an email to everyone before the meeting. So I was told by Jeremy Johnson he would talk to Mike Burns because you were not at the meeting. Fast forward to April 2026, this month, the cutting occurred again. I called Kurt Foyle again. Why was it cut?
Thank you so much, ma'am.
But once again, you were told.
I have a comment, I just have a comment.
Yes.
I would say, I think we voted on that. I think we voted on that at the time.
We did.
And I believe it passed. That was,
We voted.
It passed 4-2. And I don't remember, I don't remember exactly what day or time it was. But I think we voted on that, and it's gonna be hard. And I know there are some folks not satisfied with that particular.
I'm not complaining about the
So what is
vote,
it?
it's not being enforced. What's happening, and you can see from the pictures, the difference between the first cutting and the next two, and that is at the direction of our executive director. And I know from DEP as of today, that is not a conservation area. So the policy you guys came up with initially is correct, it was a compromise, Tim Day supported it. Anything after that is not enforcing the policy you guys voted on,
Well,
and that's the problem.
I'm gonna take it upon myself and have it passed out to the board members, that we take a look at what we voted on and, see.
It's on my photo, you can go to the minutes, thank you.
Look at it right now.
Okay. Next we have, approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the regular board meeting on 3/25? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Next, we have changes or addition to the agenda. There are no changes. We did not have a committee meeting this month, so everything that we're dealing with from tonight's meeting. And I have a few comments, but I'll make them when I get my chance to speak. Okay? Okay, adoption of the agenda. I get a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay. I get a motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Term comments, okay. I'll take a couple of minutes. What I hear the audience and community saying is there's a problem with the Peter, so, and I don't know exactly how this particular board. Most of the things that you're talking about, we voted on. The only thing, I'm one person, decent, and one vote. If we had subcommittees to look at it, but most of the stuff you're complaining about, I believe we've already voted on. We don't, but I'm willing to look at it. One is the agenda. I think that's pretty much a easy fix, because as the chair, I have some discretion there. And there'll be times when you'll be allowed to speak on certain things, and some things you may not be. That's an easy fix. What else we talked about? The only problem we have is that when we're cutting out the grass, so we have to look at that, what we voted on. Again, then, once we look at that, then we can see whether we actually abide according with, or we're violating something. I kind of believe in this staff and the executive director, and I kind of put my faith in them, and I would have to look at it again just to see what's being allowed. And I think the other members will probably get a chance to look at that too. We can try to satisfy that. The animal enforcement, and this is just me as the chair, I was not aware, but once what was given by the executive director, anyone, you don't have to answer this, but I don't know whether anyone had a problem with the animal out here and called animal enforcement and maybe did not get a response. If that happened, you need to tally and keep up with it. Then maybe if we don't get a person, maybe they get a person over there in the county, or either dedicate one person. There's ways that the county can do it. Other than that, I appreciate appreciate your concern. They're not going unnoticed. I'm glad that you got all your prints and everything. We're trying, but we're gonna look at this, but we have to have, before we bring something to the board, it has to be on the agenda. And once you get it, somebody has to make a motion or something, and they have to be approved. And I know, I'm not sure that helped you out anymore, but I just want to say that.
Mr. Chairman, we could discuss some of these things in the board members forum as well, so we can all weigh in on it.
Right. Yeah, I know, but I wanted to, I'm not as young as you, I want to get it while it was on. I want to get it out while I have it.
But we do have policies and procedures that regardless of.
And that was not a violation of the policy. That was not a violation of the policy. That was just, it says here, showing the comments. And I don't think I have a restriction on those comments. Somebody to show me that. And I may speak again at another section. Okay, external agency report. Let's go to these.
Good evening, thank you. I'm Jessica Simpson. I am the president and CEO of the Pensacola Beach Chamber and also the managing director of the Pensacola Beach Visitor Center. So here for your monthly visitor report. In March, we had just over 3,000 visitors utilize the visitor center. They came from top 5 states, being Texas, Wisconsin, Alabama, Tennessee, and Mississippi. And then our top 3 international visitors came from Canada, Germany, and Spain. And then my report to you beyond that is to remind you all that the Chamber's Beach Ball Breakfast is this Friday. So at our Lady of Assumption, we will hear from Lieutenant James Farms about the island from the Stamey County Sheriff's Department. And then a quick reminder and save the date that the Pensacola Beach Art and Wine Festival is Saturday, May 9th. So look forward to seeing you there. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have our regular agenda, new business. Item 1, report on financial statement and expenditure. Staff report by Bishop Johnson.
Good evening. The revenues for February are up 52.5% over the same period last year.
Okay. Any comments from board members? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Johnson. We have a speaker. We're coming up on the regular agenda. We have a speaker on 10A, Mr. Jardine.
All right, thank you, Mr. Thornton. Tom Jardine, Pensacola Beach. And I just had a quick question. I was looking over our the expenditures, and we had a check for, and I think I asked this in past years, but now I can't remember the answer. I know it's legitimate, but we paid a check of $481,619 to the Board of County Commissioners. It's a pretty big amount of money. I'm just kind of curious, is that for the fire, or is that for local option sales tax? I don't know, $481,000 going to the Board of County Commissioners. And what time frame? Like if it's local option sales tax, is it for 1 quarter or 1 month?
That was a quarterly payment for the fire service.
Quarterly for the fire. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the financial statement and expenditure?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you so much. Item number 2, notification of the name change from Leo Meyer to Little Penny. Staff report. Robbie.
Thank you. The leaseholder at 35 Diego Luna Drive is rebranding their restaurant. They will now be selling frozen yogurt under the name Little Penguin, and this is for notification only. No action is required.
Okay, we don't. Okay, item number 3. It's no vote required on this. So item number 3, request by Horton Beach Properties LLC, 1008 Ariola Drive, give us ability to renew the lease for an additional 99-year term on the light colored provision and conditions as in the lease contained, including an option for further renewal.
Thank you. The lease for 1008 Areola Drive expires February 6, 2056. The leaseholder is exercising their right to renew their lease with like covenants, provisions, and conditions as are in the lease contained, including an option for further renewals. Staff recommends approval.
One question, is this in accordance with what we voted on, what we passed a couple of years ago?
Yes, sir. This is a life-term lease.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, we have one speaker on that, Mr. Tom Jordan.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Thornton. Tom Jardine, Huntsville Beach. This is item 10 Alpha 3, the Horton Beach property. It's a renewal of 1008 Areola, and this is our kabuki dance. We are the finest kabuki dancers in the South. We have zero latitude. We feign that we're making a deliberation whether or not we're going to approve this lease renewal or not, but you guys have no latitude. If you were to decline this lease renewal, you would jeopardize $20 million of ad valorem taxes coming off this beach. The county has, since the 1970s, gone to the courts, the Florida Supreme Court, and won a ruling that the leaseholders are owners of these properties. We have the equivalent of fee simple ownership according to the Florida Supreme Court. This goes all the way back to the 1970s. And this is what we call perpetual renewal. These great people, the Hortons, have the right at their election to renew their lease for another 99 years, including the option of further renewal. So this goes on into perpetuity. Those folks have that property forever. No one else is allowed on that property. That property has conveyed. This lease system is absurd. The Scranton County taxpayers are losing $10 million a year due to this lease system. There's nobody has ever told me one legitimate, I mean, somebody might come up with something fake, but nobody has ever cited one legitimate benefit of this lease system. And I can tell you several illegitimate, disadvantages of this lease system. Anyway, I won't belabor the point. This is a kabuki dance. You guys must renew that renewal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jardine. Can I get a motion to approve the request?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say, your motion.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passed. Okay. Item number 4. Recommendation from the Select Review Committee to award a bid for the Huntsville Beach Boardwalk Restroom renovation. Staff report by Mike Barnes.
Thank you so much, Charles, and I appreciate Hillary in here in the audience today from Basketball Dog, and they assisted us in the whole process of the drawings, our engineering firm, and also want to thank them, and I want to thank the Development Services staff with Melody, Britt, and Mallory Jones on coming up with some innovative ideas to keep the cost down. This item was originally budgeted at $700,000, and if you can see from the bids, the successful bidder is Joy Gordon Construction at $239,000. She came with that price, and this is a woman-only business, and we're going to meet her next Thursday. We went through the process. Hillary was part of the process. Bruce was also through the process. Jim Wade with Basketball Dog, and she was the low contractor, low bidder on the contract, and we got great kudos about her and her work that she's done with the county, that she's done with the school system, and we look forward to working with her on this particular project. And we ask you if you would please approve the recommendation to accept her bid on this particular project.
We have two individuals who want to speak on this. First, we have Tom Jordan.
Sorry, Tom.
No problem.
Okay.
Okay, Tom Derby, Pensacola Beach, and thank you, Mr. Thornton. First, I do want to praise the board for, Mr. Childress isn't here, but he's on the committee, and I think, I think all you board members at one point or another have volunteered to be, on the select committee, and very rarely do I have a reason to praise you guys. So it's unfortunate, but I would love to be able to be your best cheerleader, but I can't. But this time I can. Somebody went to, above and beyond to be on, the select committee, Mr. Childers in this case, and I do appreciate when you guys put in an effort. This bathroom dovetails into one of my big criticisms about this board, is that the leaseholders get beat up at those county commission meetings constantly. The leaseholders pay full ad valorem taxes for any property we own out here, and we pay lease fees. We do everything the county asks of us, and somehow those county commissioners are illiterate on the beach. Not Ms. Hoffberger, she knows what she understands the beach as far as I know. But the other commissioners have no understanding what's going on the beach. I don't know if you guys got my email, but this is part of my email. Lumen May at the 2024 fiscal year budget meeting excoriated the leaseholders because he was saying that the county pays to clean the bathrooms over there, and we're taking the lease fees. When the county's taking all the ad valorem taxes off of quiet water, the county's taking all the sales taxes, all we have to do is clean the bathrooms, basically. The leaseholders are paying for those bathrooms. The leaseholders are paying $239,000 for the public bathrooms. The leaseholders paid $200,000 to permit those bathrooms. You guys changed horses. We were going to get new bathrooms. We paid $200,000 to permit those new bathrooms. And then you guys changed it. We're renovating the current bathrooms, and they were paying $239,000. So we're paying, if this thing goes under budget or in budget, the leaseholders will pay $439,000 for those bathrooms. And we get beat up at county commission meetings because they clean the bathrooms. That's one of my prime problems with what's going on. And you board members are responsible. You're supposed to be talking, this is your opportunity. Please go to your county commission meeting member as soon as possible and let them know that the leaseholders are paying for those public bathrooms. $439,000, $200,000 for permitting, and $239,000 for those bathrooms. The leaseholders pay for everything on here. There would not be an island authority if it wasn't for the leaseholders. The leaseholders are paying for the public beach. The leaseholders are paying for the trolleys, those tourism trolleys.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Let's look in.
Thanks, Mr. Jardine, for setting me up on that one. Melissa Pina, 413 Southeast Bartlett. I don't have any objection to stating my address. If anybody wants to know where I live or my phone number or probably many other things about me, they can certainly get a hold of it at this point, but I don't have to say it. Times have changed. You don't have to give your private address out when, my God, it's a security risk. If people don't want to do it, they don't have to do it. Period, end of story. It was a nice tradition. That's gone now. To the gentleman who spoke before, this is very serious. I want to make people understand we are not criticizing staff. We are not criticizing the policy board. I'm not criticizing Ms. Schrock because Ms. Schrock works for Mr. Burns, who is absolutely off the reservation. And the county attorney, her opinions are sheer garbage. So when you were communicating with those people, you weren't probably calling them out on illegalities on the docks and public speaking and state statute and such, but never have we criticized the staff, and we have no criticism for them. On this side, I support it because I'm a big public facilities person. Put up as many bathrooms as you want. Charge the county for it. Whatever Tom has to say about, what pot it's coming from, I don't care. I want more bathrooms, which is why I wanted the changing room over the public safety building. And here's where Tom and I differ. I don't know whether it is that Ms. Hoffberger doesn't understand the beach all that well, or she does understand it, but she's just against the public. Because the first thing she did when she came to office, and the reason I'm stating this is, I don't know that everybody knows this, you all voted for it. Commissioner Bender's changing room over the public safety building. We got told down at a meeting of the TDC by Ms. Hoffberger that the reason that had to be canceled was because it was dangerous. It's a public safety hazard, a public changing room connected to the public safety building that is staffed. So we haven't given up on that, and I'm just letting you folks know that while we support payer amenities for Quietwater Beach, I certainly hope, I mean, I think that all of the money off that project that she also, by the way, illegally and unilaterally canceled on that project. I don't think it's coming to this project because we battled it back to get some of the stuff that we were dealing with that ridiculous gateway sign. But this is to say, as I told Ashley, Chairman Hoffberger at the time, that just because she won't listen or respond, it doesn't mean we drop it or forget. So someday we are coming back on that changing room because we need that, just like we need this renovation on Quietwater. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can I get a motion to approve awarding the bid to Charter Gordon Construction? Second. Okay, the motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passed. Okay, item number 5, approval of the revised 2026 committee assignment staff report by Mike Thomas.
Thank you so much, Charles. And you have before you, the new committee assignments, and a lot of shuffling around, not really a lot of shuffling around, but with Mark coming on board as a member, replacing Lizzie, we're grateful for Mark and his service. And you'll see that Jeremy is gonna be the chair of the Architectural and Environmental Committee, along with David and Jerry serving on that committee, on the Development and Leasing Committee. Jerry will be the chair of that. Mark will also join him on that, along with Jeremy. On the Administrative Committee, Bruce will be the chair with David and Mark joining Bruce. On the Operations Committee, it'll be Jerry as the chair with Bruce and Jeremy as members. And then on the Special Committee, chairman will be David, and then members will be Charles and Mark. And so that's the report.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, we have a speaker on that, Mr. Tom Jordan.
Did you sign up for this? Sorry.
All right, hello, Tom Jardine, thank you, Mr. Gordon again. So, you know, as you're the board, do what you want. That seemed to me that if you make it easy, you could put the new board member right into the old board member spot. You don't have to change the committees at all. But my objection is your committees don't make any sense to me. I said before, why not have all 6 members on every committee? With the way you guys do it now is 3. Somebody's always sick or absent, and you got to shuffle things around, and that person didn't know he was going to be on the committee, so he didn't look at those items very well. You guys always say, we want to move it to the full board, we're not going to do anything with committee, and then the board says, we don't want to do it, move it to the committee, and it goes back and forth. Why don't you just have all 6 members on every committee? That would be the most logical thing for you to do, unless there's a regulation where you can't do that. You guys cancel committee meetings too frequently. Your committees seem like they're irrelevant because you just canceled a meeting. I don't know why you canceled it. It may have been a good reason. You canceled 2 meetings before we even started the calendar year. We only meet twice a month. It's only April. You guys already canceled 3 meetings. What you're doing is you're making a good point that your committees are irrelevant because you guys keep canceling meetings and we don't miss a beat. I don't understand why last full board meeting, the March board meeting, we had a new business item where we had Sugar Daddy Donuts do a new lease. I just don't understand, why didn't that have to go through a committee? It just went right to the full board. That doesn't make any sense to me either. And lastly, I'd like to say, we have had the District 4 board member as the chairperson for I don't know how many years. and I'm in District 4, I think that they'll be disenfranchised by never having my District 4 member as the chairman. I don't know how many years he's got to wait. He's new. I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to wait a year or maybe even 2 years, but let's not take forever before we have a District 4 chairperson. Thank you.
Sorry
Okay.
again.
Mr. Johnny, Ms. Melissa,
Thank you, Chairman. Gordon, Melissa Pino, 413 Southeast Bartlett. In particular, what I wanted to mention, and again, still apologizing for the day that I got up and I said, where the heck is the backup, not realizing that my horrible phone was not displaying it. But once I do find my way to a backup, I do know my way around it pretty well. Again, I'm hedging my bets though because I might have missed something. So I believe that the reason that you just got those committees read to you by Mr. Burns is because they haven't been put in black and white. I don't think those committees were in, I don't think there was anything from Mr. Burns' executive director report at all in the backup, period. And again, searching, I think it was like only a 54-page backup this time because you guys pulled the consent agenda because you didn't have any committees. There's nothing in there. I mean, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. It is the spirit and the GOB mentality of running this board as if, well, we tell you, but we have to kill you. We don't really have to tell you, so let me sit here and read these to you because I'm not going to put them in the backup so the public can see who is on committees that are pointless anyway, except for transparency, except for dividing and conquering, and what they're really for is you guys ought to be, as I've said about those committees, as the public is, because guess what? If you're not on that particular committee and it comes back, you know you're expected to sit there and shut up and vote for it. There is not supposed to be a lot of discussion among y'all because it's the consent agenda and the SRIA pretends that that's a done deal just to be rubber stamped. So what if you're a policy board member and you actually think that there's a really bad problem with what 3 of your peers did? You want to bring some information, maybe you know more, or you just have an opinion. Just like, imagine that. The public might have some information or an opinion. Why do you run this board this way? You guys aren't a gigantic committee. You don't have that much business. I mean, compared to the BCC, I'm not saying that you don't do important business, I'm not saying you don't have a lot, but this is not such a gargantuan committee that you need to be farming stuff off so that you can streamline stuff, choke the public comment off, and then choke off conversation by members of the policy board. It bothers me as much to watch you guys rubber stamp decisions of the whole board off of what 3 other people made as it does that the public doesn't get a chance to speak. Policy board can change this. You guys don't have to sit those committees anymore. You don't have to do that worthless step that is purposely there for administration, not for the policy board members. You guys can blow it away and just do all your business on the regular agenda. Thank you.
thank you, Ms. Tina. Can I get a motion to approve the revised committee assignment?
Second.
There's been motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, item number 6. Approval of the interlocal agreement between the SRIA and Escambia County for the Pensacola Beach Nourishment Project. Staff report by Mike Burns.
Thank you so much, Charles. What this is the agreement between the county and the Island Authority for the county to, or the TDC and the county to provide up to $7.2 million towards the beach nourishment project, and allows us to go ahead and send them over those bills and those invoices get paid, and that money can transfer back and forth between us and Escambia County.
Okay, no comment, okay. Anybody have, any board member have a comment on it? Okay, then, all those in favor, can I get a motion, all those in favor? Oh, yeah, one.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Stern. Tom Jardine, Pensacola Beach. And so, like I said, I don't get a chance to praise the board very often or the executive director, but this is a chance I'll take. It's a tough project. That's a big project you guys did. And I got to credit Mr. Burns. I mean, I know there were some problems. I don't know what caused the problems, but you had to reverse the flow and everything, and you guys were able to get it done. So I will praise you guys for that. I want to thank the Pensacola Beach leaseholders once again. They're paying for this project once again. It's always the leaseholders. The leaseholders in the state of Florida exclusively pay for that project. In 2015, it was just the leaseholders in the state of Florida. Escambia County gave us nothing in 2015. They gave us a loan for $9 million that they forced us to pay back with interest. And they forgot that. They told Mr. Day, who is a nice guy, tried to tell me that the county gave us $9 million for that project. They loaned us $9 million, and they made us pay back with interest. The county's been a thorn in our side for this. Mr. Berry has been chastising the leaseholders for years that we're saving money for that beach. The popular myth is that we replenish those beaches for the leaseholders and the county pays for it, when the truth is that the leaseholders pay for that public beach. And we don't do it for the leaseholders, we do it for the county. The leaseholders, those people who live on Areola, on the Gulf, they may get some benefit from the storm surge from the project, but we don't replenish the beach on the north side. Those leaseholders safeguard their own homes with private seawalls. We don't do sand replenishment for Perdido Keys private property. We don't do this stuff for private leaseholders. We do it because that beach brings in all the tourism money in this county. And that beach is our public park. If we did not do this sand replenishment project, that beach would erode the private leaseholds, and there would be no private beach. There would be no public beach. So the only reason we do that project is for the public. We don't do it for the leaseholders. The leaseholders may get a benefit, but we don't do it for the leaseholders, and the leaseholders pay for it. The Tourist Development Council is finally going to give us a little bit of money. So right now, the Tourist Development Council and the county have given us a negative $1.35 million. I gave you guys an email. I don't know if you watched my email, but it had all this stuff in there. The county misappropriated a $3.355 million FEMA grant that was supposed to go to that beach. And when they were caught red-handed stealing that money, they tasked the Tourist Development Council to pay back that money. And so the Tourist Development Council has given us $2 million to pay back the $3.355 million they stole. So right now, the county and the TDC is negative $1.35 million on that beach. And the county has offered us a $5.2 million loan that the Tourist Development Council is pledged to pay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can I get a motion to approve the interlocal agreement?
So moved.
Second. Okay, you get a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passed. Next, we have staff. Executive Director Barnes.
Thank you so much, Charles. First thing I would like to chat about is the legal services,
AJD.
RFP that we sent out. Already reach out to us and download the information. So most of the law firms, the local law firms, I suppose last time we had two so I anticipate these 3 or 4 other firms applying.
We can't hear you.
I anticipate at least 3 or 4 other firms participating in this agreement. And I look forward to that. That deal closes on April the 30th. Also, as far as legal services, I want to take my hat off. I wouldn't wear it indoors anyway, but to this fast and the developmental services for what they did with our elevation grant program. We only have one more participate in the elevation grant program that we did for the last 10 years, if I'm not mistaken. And they have to provide us a deck sheet. Once they provide that deck sheet, that will close out all the grants on our elevation program. We had avoided litigation with one of the leaseholders, and they paid back $198,000 that they got from the federal government and the Florida Department of Emergency Management. It was some good lawyering, some good working, and a little bit of good luck. You know, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And so we were able to do that, and I want to hats off to Development Services and of course to you, Mary Jane, for your hard work on that particular issue. The other thing I want to, that Vicki mentioned, I want to touch on our TDT collections in March were up 11.1% on the beach. And year to date, we're up 6.5% overall. Last year in March, we had a little over 318,000. This March, $354,000 coming in through our TDT dollars. We have a lot of events that are coming up. Our events on the beach. We have one more in April and a couple in May. I think we have a full slate in May. I think 4 or 5 in May. The Island Authority office will be closed on Memorial Day, which will be May the 25th, and then we'll have another bands on the beach that Tuesday that will happen. You've been seeing a lot of people coming across the bridge. Saturdays, of course, have been the busiest days. Last Saturday, I think the toll people that came through the toll plaza was a little over 27,000 people on that Saturday. So we've been averaging a little over 25,000 every Saturday for the last 2 months. So a lot of people coming to the beach. Construction projects are about to wrap up on Pensacola Beach as we roll into summer. Those projects that will be wrapping up, the Inland Coast Utilities Authority, well, they'll have to pick up and come back again next year to finish up their project that you see going on the north side of the Pensacola Beach Boulevard. They'll be picking up and packing up by May the 15th, and then doing the work that they need to do in the parking lots to get everything up and going, so we make sure that we're ready for Memorial Day. I ran into some problems on that particular job. It's going to require some extra boring and testing by the contractor, and hopefully we'll be able to come back and do that in November of the upcoming year, in November 26th. The Toll Plaza project, it'll be substantially completed Memorial Day weekend, and that'll be good, and then they'll finish up that project after they do their testing, and that should be June the 30th. And beach nourishment is like the Kentucky Derby. You know, it's rounding the turn and it's coming down the stretch, and that's really good. We did have some, I think, I can't remember who it was, it said some, we did have some problems with the contractor as far as equipment, so we had to flip from west and go east to west, but things are rolling. We should be through the pier probably by this weekend, and then we'll be substantially completed. We're hoping to push them and get it done by May the 14th, but on the outside we'll be finished before Memorial Day weekend, and that includes all the tilling process. The tilling comes back just like you would your yard garden. You turn up the sand, and when it does, you're going to see the sand, which is super soft right now. It's going to make it sink almost a foot in the sand because it's going to be so much softer, and it's going to be a great product. And hats off to Manson Construction and everybody that's worked together on that particular project. And that's my report.
Thank you so much, Robert. The next report is on attorney report for Ms. Bass. Give us your report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have my report. I don't have anything to add tonight. Something more released falls, we'll just continue to work on those, but just see a couple matters have resolved, which I'm very pleased to report, and happy to answer any of those questions.
Okay, I think we have, this is something new. We have one speaker, Ms. Melissa Patino.
Last one, Melissa Patino, 413 Southeast. Well, it's Tom. If you think it's bad on the nourishment over here, we've all paid millions and millions of dollars over on Perdido Key to have that baby nourished, but then we just call it doom restoration instead of nourishment. So we're working on that too. Hopefully we'll be getting the customary use ordinance soon. The reason I got up on this is specifically because of the minutes. Because in the backup, there's a section for the minutes at large proper, And then the county attorney's minutes, it looks to me like those are included in her report. And as I was reading it, I'm looking at it and thinking how random it actually is. What gets inserted into the minutes and what doesn't? Because on that item where it discusses the last meeting, where it came up about the legal opinion that was in the backup that, she was saying that I didn't, y'all did not, Mr. Thornton did not need to let me up to the podium to discuss her legal statements about those peers that were in the backup. In the minutes, there's no mention of that. And so what confuses me is actually you guys don't have to be mentioning what speakers talk about at all. I hear a lot about Robert's rules. Great, they're a rule to live by. State statute is even better. But technically speaking, when you're inserting stuff into the minutes that is beyond what is best practices, it's well intended. Even when it's well intended, it is an opportunity to editorialize. When you're protracting outside of the name of the people who speak, the time things happened, what the vote was, what the motion was, who seconded the motion, when you're reporting on content, like Mr. Jardine said this, and I'm not even saying that the reporting has been inaccurate or biased or unfair, but in some parts of the minutes you've got, well, this person spoke and they said this person spoke and they said that, in Ms. Bass's report that wasn't there. You don't need to be doing that. Can you please just batten down the hatches and run stuff professionally? You don't list out speakers and what they talked about. You don't talk about what this board member or that board member stated. Those aren't proper minutes. So you just do need to go back and check the Roberts rules and pare the minutes down. If you're looking for efficiencies, that's one place to do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Taylor. Development Service Director report.
Charles, I'm gonna do, my outreach report, and I already did my report as to the construction projects on the beach.
Okay.
So the next report would be the engineer's report.
Engineer report, okay. Mrs. Brown, will you please, engineer report. Mrs. Brown? Is she?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Hillary Bauer, Vascular Alignment Engineering. This is my first week talking to you, so I just wanted to say, hey, I'm a native Pensacolian also. Lived here my whole life, came back, love it, love the beach. Mr. Burns actually covered most of my report as far as the quiet water boardwalk bathroom renovation bidding. But if you guys have any additional questions, I would be more than happy to answer them.
I just want to say welcome aboard. That's a military term. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't have a question. Anyone have a question? Okay. Board members form. Any other board members?
Ms. Burns, I do want to talk about the mowing. It does appear that, from my recollection of the vote, more than what we had planned on with the uplands is being mowed. Do you want to update the board and the public on developments with that?
Sure, Jeremy. What we did is, I think we had a board meeting and Tim Day came and spoke, and I actually was having a new staff member because one was retiring and Mallory was coming on board. And so I thought it was important to bring the Florida Department of Environmental Protection out here, since the Florida Department of Environmental Protection are going to regulate wetlands in the state of Florida. And that's exactly what we did. And that gentleman came out, he took samples of the area behind Rio Vista, and he evaluated it, and he told me that it was not wetlands, and that the best way to manage the wetlands was to, best way to manage the area was to cut the area, because the area was invasive species. So what we did is we drew a line, and the line was, I wanna say behind 803, there was steps going up to a pier, or not, maybe not steps, but an incline going up to the pier, and then a pole all the way to the east. So what we did is we left a buffer from the beach, and it's about 10 yards, if I'm not mistaken, from the beach to where that vegetation starts to where that mark is. And we cut east to west or west to east all the way back to the property line where the road lines are on those leasehold estates. So that's the area that we cut. You know, his suggestion was that he would, since it is conservation / recreation area, there are, I think, 11 different things that you can do with that as recreation. And there are multiple locations on the beach that have that same zoning. It is not a conservation permitted area by the Department of Environmental Protection. And he suggested not to make it or apply for a permit for the DEP to manage that area, because at that point, we would have to give over control of that area to the Department of Environmental Protection. So by us maintaining it in that manner, which he said was more than appropriate, the only time he said I wouldn't cut it is if it had rained and you were using your tires and you saw your tires spinning and you were tearing up the vegetation. That's when I wouldn't do it. So we took his suggestions at heart, and that's what we did. We cut it on the first of every month in the springtime all the way through the fall, and whether it needs any other cutting in between. That's it. But recently, we just cut it recently, I believe, on, it would have been April 1st or April 3rd, maybe that Thursday or Friday.
You know, when all of these decisions were made, I was a proponent of some of that area being used for recreation. You know, as heard from many constituents that were on both sides of the issue, but I felt like we had a good relative middle ground with an area being maintained, mowed, and then that wetlands buffer from the map that we had at that time. Now, I understand there might be new information, but, you know, it was news to me, you know, when I asked about it. Mr. Keaton, was your recollection that we would have that wetland area that was on that map as kind of a natural buffer?
Yeah, I believe Tim Day had stakes drawn out at the area that was supposed to be mowed. That could be mowed, and the rest was going to be natural.
It actually was wetland science that came out. That was the county's, I don't know what you want to call them, their architect or their engineer firm, anyway, that was them that did it. But I went to the guys that control the wetlands, and that's Department of Environmental Protection. And they were the ones that said, this is not wetlands, and therefore it's native, it's invasive species, not native species, and that's why I did what I did.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of close the loop on that, you know, I'm just one board member, but I think it could be helpful for who you spoke to provide something, some documentation, and maybe we run that by Mr. Day, since he was involved in this.
Well, I think I have a report from the Department of Environmental Protection. I'll check my records to make sure, when I have it, I'll definitely bring it to you.
Oh, if he has it.
And if I don't have it, I'll reach out to him for it, and another copy of it.
Without salt marsh?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'd like to see if maybe Ms. Bass or you might, if we can wrap some of these things up, because we have a constant theme that comes up over the last few meetings. And some people believe one thing, and I think we believe another, so to speak. So I'd like to clear up the air a little bit with the public records request. I believe that there was some, can you conversation with that, but it had to do with, I think that Salt Marsh does our IT, and so we bill for Salt Marsh's time, apparently, right?
That is correct. If we would've gotten the records from Salt Marsh, we would bill for their time, because
No,
what they do.
can't do
Please,
that.
please, let us,
You
let us,
just can't do
please
that.
not
It's
fail us
illegal.
right now.
It's
No,
illegal.
not now, please.
It's illegal.
So what they do is, they conduct a public records request, and, they put a search term in, and they got, it's a time-saving manner for them to do it versus us to go through it and look through all the possible emails that everybody has, so that's what it is. I think the cost for them was somewhere between $250 and $500. Originally, the individual that requested the public records agreed for us to do that. And so that's why we went in that direction to do that. Then there was some type of misunderstanding, or maybe they talked to somebody and they gave them some different advice. So when they did that and came back to us, I had a conversation with Ms. Robbie, and I said, just give them everything. Give them the public records request that they made, that we conducted, give them the records that Salt Marsh. I said, and don't charge them, just give it to them. Give them all the records. And that's what we did.
That's not true.
That's right, I think maybe we haven't given them the Salt Marsh thing because it wasn't done.
May I?
Okay.
May I?
So, let's see, peers. You know, the peers come up, Mr. Blooper talked about 4 applicants, communication with peer owners, SRIA. I don't know where we stand in that. What do we need to do, or what are we not doing, or are we out of compliance with how we're doing the peers? We haven't, ever since we've had the issue of Baby Beach, there's not been peers that have been coming forward.
That's correct. And as it relates to those 4 particular docs or peers, whichever you want to call them, I spoke with Liz Orr, who is the director of DEP for this particular reason. She sent letters to 4 homeowners or leaseholders, and she asked them to fill out an application where the DEP had already granted each one of these leaseholders permission to build a pier. They had already granted the permits. So she said she's going to send them that information. She wanted me to sign off as the island authority, as the upland leaseholder. That's what she asked. Originally, she wanted us to sign off, or DEP wanted us to sign off as the co-permittee. So the letters went out from her to the 4 individuals. What we did is we followed up with each one of those 4 individuals, and we asked them to do A, B, and C. And they would then provide that information back to the island authority. I think we had 3 of the 4. We may have the 4th one because I spoke to Dr. Doty today, and he had sent the information to us, but it may have gotten in a spam folder, possibly. And so he's a doctor out of Brookhaven, and so he said, I gave him my card, and I gave him my email, and asked him to send it to me. So we have 3 out of the 4. We should have the 4th one. Once I get the 4th one, I will sign the 4 documents that Liz or asked me to sign, and then I will take those and get those to the DEP. And that will resolve that issue. Every one of these piers have already been built. Some of them went back, if I'm not mistaken, to 2016. So these are not piers that were built in 2025 or 2026. These are all permits that DEP had granted in the past. And they said they may have made a mistake, and this was their corrective measure, and they asked us to participate in it, and that's what we done.
Are we out of compliance in 2018?
No, we were never out of compliance with anything. This didn't come to DEP's attention, and I still don't think that there's any problem with it. But this was their solution to resolve the issue. And so we worked with them to come up with a solution. Every hoop that they asked us to jump through, we have jumped through. And they've asked us to do this, We will, we have, accepted their request, and it should be completed this week.
Maybe compliance isn't the right word. I remember somebody mentioned in 2018, at one of the speakers about 2018 and moving forward. So the animal control, is that something we can hire? Can we hire or rent a cop to patrol the beach and pay them an hourly rate to go watch people with the dogs? Is it that easy, or is it we have to go through Escambia County and ask them to hire somebody, or who funds that?
So the county is the one, that was my point. The county is the one that I believe should pay for it, not the island authority. Because we paid $60,000 a year for the lowest grade, animal control officer. Then they hired a sergeant, if I'm not mistaken, to take the person that they terminated. So, you know, I can read the tea leaves, what's coming next, is, you know, now we're gonna pay the sergeant's rate. Every other district in the county pays for the animal control officer. We were the only ones that were paying for an animal control officer. And we had 2 dog parks on it. Now, if you look at where the dogs come from, if you, just from a common sense standpoint, the dogs come from town. Because the people that live on the beach, they're responsible pet owners, and they take their pets where they wanna take their pets. And they walk them on leashes, and they take care of the pets. These are animals that come either by visitors, tourists, whatever you wanna say. So, from a logical standpoint, then the people that should be paying for this is the county, not the leaseholders on the beach.
So is that a conversation with West Marino maybe, or is it, so we're already paying for District 4, basically, but District 4 is across on the mainland, but not really covered out here.
That's correct. And so, District 1 doesn't pay for their dog park, District 2, District 3, District 4, District 5. The only three people that pay for their dog park is the beach. You know? And the dogs are not coming from the beach, the dogs are coming from town. So why should the leaseholders be the one paying for the dog park?
Oh, I want to speak to this.
Let the people in town pay for the dog park. Now, I did not enter into the interlocal agreement expired. I had that conversation. I said, I'm not paying for it. You figure it out. And I talked to both I don't know, it's the chief, I think it was a lieutenant and a sergeant, and we met in my office. I said, you dispatch people everywhere else in the county, you know, dispatch people here.
Well, I'd like to see us be able to try to help the situation. I know, I get Ms. Dorfman's emails, and I heard her husband today, it seems like an easy type situation. We could probably find, either way to pay for it, we have to rent it, night, that's what it's scared of. But somebody, they pay them to, they just cruise the boulevard or the beach and check it out.
And David, I really, in my personal opinion, I thought that the lady that was working at the dog park was doing a great job. I thought she was doing a great job. The difference was she was more on the educational side versus the citation side. And she was educating people on how they should handle their animals in the dog park. They couldn't be in certain areas of the beach. I thought she did it. Once they got rid of the one person, they didn't like the one that got replaced. You know? And so,
Okay.
that's how it was handled.
All right, and the last one, and thanks for your, just trying to clean up some of these, the speakers went, but maybe not tonight, but maybe on an agenda item, but the committee meetings, I believe that they are a duplication of what we're doing. We have a committee meeting, we do have them, and we take speakers, public input, and then we do the exact same thing that 2 weeks later. It doesn't make any sense to me that even the county, I think, stopped doing a lot of agenda review. They use that time now as an outside person to come in and talk about economic development or whatever, or maybe a ballpark or whatever commissioners are up to. So I was thinking if there's a special hot button issue that we need to meet, really vet and get in the weeds of it, we can have a committee meeting. But if sometimes times we meet, if there's a lease and, or, you know, two leases that we have to approve at the committee meeting so they can make it to the board meeting. So, and we can't figure that out tonight, but I would like to have it maybe on the agenda, we can discuss it and see if there's a better way to operate this.
Certainly, and that's really the reason why we didn't have a committee meeting this month, is because we didn't have any items on the agenda, so we canceled the committee meeting, and then we had everything. And like, sometimes you seem like somebody made a suggestion of why we put a lease on the regular agenda versus putting it on the committee meeting. It came in after the committee meeting, and what we wanted to do is make sure that leaseholder had the opportunity to open up this business and stuff like that versus waiting another month for a meeting. So that's why we kind of sped up the process. But I agree with you, we can definitely work on that.
And last question, is the law firm information on our website, or is it for bar association?
Yes, it is.
It's on our website?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you. Appreciate your time on that.
I know that's what people out there want to speak, but. Oh, man.
You got 2 seconds for the new guy. Thank you. I appreciate all my neighbors' support, and I appreciate all the staff. I reiterate what another resident out here just iterated, dealing with everybody on the staff, as a developer and building our house out here a few years back was incredible. When I initially approached Commissioner Hopper for the appointment, she said, well, you know, being a real estate developer, you know, I'm assuming that some of the permitting processes and all of that in the county, like you want to address that. I said, I build all over the United States, and dealing in Escambia County on SRIA has been, that's not my hot button item. Why I wanted to step up and ask for the appointment. One was, you know, she's done it now twice, where she put an island resident in this chair, which I thought was an important. So I want to thank her publicly again for that appointment and for acknowledging the residents of her district, asking for a local resident. So, and I'm humbled by the outreach I've gotten from my neighbors and saying thank you, and I appreciate the staff, and I've met with staff attorney, everyone on here. I've met with the Sheriff's Department in preparation for today. And the hot button item that, and I think I've got a couple ideas on funding that person, whether it be a code enforcement item. And my next item, which really drove me to this, and you know, although the family's been here full time 3 years, we've owned the house 6 years, and not my first time here. That's the second time I've taken that oath of office to sit here on the island. The first being in the United States Marine Corps, coming through the flight program here. So in '94. So we may be relatively new. We're not as Mr. Rockwood is 17 years, 20 from that's right. Yeah. Okay. So not nearly that long, but we've been here a long time. We care about it. And when I hear my neighbors saying they're getting driven off the beach by lack of a short-term rental policy, I had to act. And that's the thing. I met with Ms. Bass and kind of concerned that she may be leaving us because she's been a great addition, and in particular on this item, being that she's the drafter of our neighbor. Like literally, you can't find a community in and around us that does not have a short-term rental policy. Why is it important? Came with the Sheriff's Department. They're dealing with wars on 2 fronts. And former Marine yourself, you know that's one of our things is the horns of the dilemma of the enemy. Well, if you're dealing with takeovers on Casino Beach, you don't have time to come address underage drinking parties and unregulated houses, with the kids from Louisiana underage drinking next to you. You just don't have it. And we just come through that as residents out here. And one of the top things in all of these, and here's Ms. Bass's policy from Gulf Breeze, here's Panama City that shut it down with it. It's really a simple policy. You're registered, and who's enforcing that they have the licenses? the state's required license, which, by the way, I'm not so sure, all these are, say, residential lease. I don't know if a residence is required to have a business license, so there's a bunch of things over here. If anybody's gonna object to it, well, then we're gonna be a problem that they're violating all the leases by having a business in them. In fact, some people have been thrown out of their homes for registering their LLC as accounting firms out here. But we're gonna have unregulated Motel 6 nightly rentals with underage drinking in it, where the sheriff doesn't know who to call. All of these policies are simple. I propose, like, in the next, I sit on that development committee, I met with Ms. Bass and broached the subject, and met with pretty much all staff to go through this. Can't find out why we don't have one. And we have the person that drafted one of the most reasonable ones here that I've met with and drafting that, and it should be through committee, and we have the person that's drafted it, works on our staff. Should be easy to do.
I just want to say, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome your skill set. Well, here on the board, I don't have to post one to speak, but we don't have any, we're getting to the end of the program. Whatever you have, save it.
Oh,
save it
please.
for the next.
Please.
Save it for the next.
Please, please, please let us respond.
We're gonna give her 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
That's great.
Please, keep on the call.
That's great, thank you. 413 Southeast Providence, you know this will all be, we'd like to thank you for letting us address this now. 2 things, and I'm so angry right now, but I'm gonna be respectful, and I'm gonna be calm. Number 1, he's gaslighting you on the peers. See, he wants you over here looking at what the DEP stuff is, because that's about whether they got sufficient upland interest. That has nothing to do with the fact that those piers are illegal because they're going over taxpayer-funded county property. He thinks y'all are gonna be fooled because he's going DEP, sufficient upland interest. I ought to know, I'm the one that put the complaint in the DEP. I know those things don't have sufficient upland interest, a lot of them, but that's not what makes them illegal. DEP does not care if you guys are breaking the law on putting private piers over taxpayer-funded land. They don't care, it's not their problem. Those are 2 separate issues. It's up to you guys to deal with the illegality going over the public land. Okay, 2, salt marsh. You are all the custodians of your own record. If you choose to squander taxpayer money on an outside agency to handle your records for you, it's a shame for the public, but you can legally. What you cannot do is pass that cost off to a private citizen. And I've seen the receipt on the recent public records request. Diane only got a portion of it. The Sharp was very helpful, but it's still got indication she's got to pay for salt marsh if she wants the emails.
No, ma'am, that's it. I have that discretion, no.
Will y'all respond to emails, sir?
You're gonna have to
Oh my God, I wasn't trying to be the only person.
What I wanna say, this is the board meeting time, and I just allow.
But some of you guys don't respond to emails.
No, ma'am.
No, most of them don't respond.
I was not trying to.
What I want to say is I appreciate this staff. I've been on the board now going through 4th year. This is my 7th executive director. I would not be a part, and I'm sure the folks up here would not be a part of anything that's illegal, or doing anything illegal, unethical, or immoral. There's always 3 sides to every story. And when you bring your issues to us and you're concerned, I know this staff work hard to try to solve them. We're never, you're never gonna be able to satisfy everyone, but sometimes we're gonna bring you answers back that you may or may not like. But the only thing I ask you to challenge us on, if we bring you the answer, if you agree with it, then that's great, as long as we can back it up. If you don't, then we have no choice but to let you follow whatever procedures and whatever you wanna do. The precedent, I worked for the government all my life, and, I've seen it. I've seen it. You're not gonna, even within the government, they don't always agree. But we're here to serve you. We work for you. We're not gonna always agree with you. But if you can show us when we're doing something wrong, we'll look into it. And then we'll backtrack. But just like we bring our documentation, you're gonna have to bring yours too. And I love this beach. I love this community. And after that,
Sure, I gotta get going.